Hello and welcome to ISC2 Insights. I'm Chris Green. Joining me today to talk about the notion of bringing an aerospace mindset to cybersecurity is Brandon Gibson, CISSP. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this was a conversation we were having off of camera about the idea of applying an aerospace mentality, an aerospace mindset and approach to problem solving and things like that to the world of cybersecurity. Because as we know, I mean, in the aerospace world, you require exceptionally high levels of reliability, uptime. Things can't break.
Exactly, yeah.
Because unfortunate things happen. I'm trying to bring that same kind of process, that almost secure by design principle into the world of cybersecurity is hugely important. So, I mean, from your perspective, how and why would you go about applying aerospace principles to the way that we do cybersecurity today?
So yeah, there's a kind of some new thinking that's coming out of the aerospace industry. They actually kind of frame it as safety. So
Right.
These are ideas that have been, I mean, they're older than me. They kind of started in the 1970s after a series of plane crashes, and it was really kind of looking into what caused the problem. And traditionally, what people did was just they blamed the pilot. So some of the new thinking kind of came about when we started looking at systemic issues in an organization that led to an incident. And another takeaway is that pilots typically think they're doing the right thing at the time. In their minds, they're not making a mistake. So they're basically going off the best information they have. So yeah, how does that relate to cybersecurity? I mean, we got to think of it like basically this kind of concept of aviation safety. It can be applied as like a companion practice to cybersecurity. So let's say, for example, we have a developer who accidentally put some production credentials into a dev environment, and then that in turn accidentally got released to production and caused a major security incident. We could just blame the developer, like, hey, we had a security policy, you're not supposed to do that. You broke the security policy, and now that person is probably going to get reprimanded or fired, or something really bad is going to happen. Or you can take this aerospace mindset and you can think about, well, what was going on at the time that this developer put those credentials in the system? Was the developer under like a deadline? Did he actually tell his manager, hey, I'm concerned about this, but we'll accept the risk because we have a deadline to meet? Or did he maybe ask for some sort of like a technical account or something to like do development work and put in a ticket to do that, and they said it's going to take 2 weeks to get those credentials? So there are a lot of things, systemic issues that can happen that can lead to a security incident. So some of this aviation thinking can not only address like security incidents, but make an organization run faster and safer.
Because I mean, these are issues that we are used to seeing quite often in most workplaces. The shortcuts, the workarounds that are designed to try and fix problems, improve productivity, but often have that unfortunate byproduct of then creating a security challenge. But the approach to dealing with them tends to be very, very different to that. Rather than understanding the rationale behind it, trying to achieve an awareness of cause and effect, it's always much down to who was responsible for this, and often in many cases applying accountability without understanding.
Right.
And this is where the aerospace approach sounds to be very, very different.
Right.
There's a lot more emphasis, by the sounds of it, on understanding the reasoning for why decisions were made, rather than just simply rejecting the decision.
Right. So NASA created a program in the 1970s called ASRS. So it's the Aviation Safety Reporting System. And one thing they learned from a series of plane crashes that happened in the 1970s that really eroded public trust in flight as a safe way to travel, was they noticed that pilots and ground crew saw problems with the airplane but didn't say anything. Either because they thought it was going to create more work for them, it could get them in trouble, or maybe someone made a mistake and didn't want to report it, because why would you do that? You could get fired.
Sure.
So the response to that was create a confidential system to report something that where you would not be retaliated against. So in this kind of concept of safety meets security, that's actually a really key part of the success of the program. Is we need to basically treat identifying safety issues, or in the aviation industry they call them hazards, as a positive thing. So like in the security world, you can have a scanner that finds vulnerabilities. You don't want to be the team that has 20 critical vulnerabilities you got to go fix.
Absolutely.
But the team that has identified, say, 10 hazards, safety issues, like systemic problems, that's actually good. That's identifying them as safer because they are shining a light on some uncomfortable truths. So you have to take this kind of culture approach where you get in front of issues before they happen and basically create a reward mechanism and a safe place for people to report any sort of problems they find within the organizations.
Well, that's always a very big cultural problem that most organizations have is fostering a mindset that it's okay to challenge things.
Yeah, but some of these changes are occurring, and this is actually kind of new. It was newly kind of introduced to me just this previous year. I never even heard of this stuff. And it started to make a lot of sense why some folks in the industry are looking at kind of adopting this and applying it to cybersecurity.
Yeah. In terms of other cybersecurity professionals that are thinking about trying to approach these things in new ways, what advice would you offer for them in terms of how they should go about trying to do it?
Well, it's a cultural change. It's a change in a way you think about security is like, in cybersecurity, we kind of sometimes look at things in a silo. I mean, most people, cybersecurity professionals, know there's always some give and take with the business side and operations side of things. But culturally, we need to kind of get out of this negative blame culture and really take a step back and look at really what's causing some of these issues. So not just like patching vulnerabilities, go fix this, but really like what are some other contributing factors here that we can address and ultimately make things safer. So honestly, it's a culture change is difficult. I mean, it's something that you really need to get leadership buy-in, and so I'd encourage them to read. Actually, there's some great resources on this type of thinking. Many books that are published, and that's how I got introduced to this type of thinking.
Is there any training or education that you think would help? I mean, do certifications help in terms of tackling this kind of changed approach?
Well, there's a book I can recommend. It's written by Sidney Decker, who is a aviation, basically thought leader in aviation safety.
Okay.
It's called A Field Guide to Understanding Human Error. And I don't want to hurt his book sales, but it covers a lot of this stuff in there. So that's a good place to start because I think a lot of people are taking some of the ideas from that book and now they're trying to see, hey, I can actually apply this outside of the aviation industry.
That's great. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us today and talking us through that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's everything from ISC2 Insights for now. Thank you very much for watching. As always, keep an eye on our content at isc2.org/ISC2 Insights. Until our next video. Again, thank you very much for watching and goodbye.